Hello and welcome to a special Intertidal edition of A.W.K, W.A.R.D, your not-so-local, not-so-radio station. Coming to you live from the beach. Alright, so that's really exciting that you got to see a snake while you're at the beach. I think so. That was a black rat snake. They're one of the slower of the black snakes that we have down here in the south. Had that snake sped off faster than lightning, that would have been a black racer, aptly named for its speed. But the black rats can grow up to be around 7 feet long, and they're harmless, they're not venomous, so that would have been an okay snake had you wanted to pick up and handle. Alright, your crow that you said you saw, I believe was actually a boat-tailed grackle, and they're the ones with the big long tail and kind of this iridescent black that you'll see pumping up and down as they walk, their tail that is, and the females are kind of a tawny brown, but they're the same size as the males, and they make this big racket as they collect the palmetto berries from our sable palmetto or the cabbage palmetto. Big holes such as these are formed by ghost crabs. They are the fastest land crab on Earth, moving at 3 feet per second, and they can stay out of the water for 4 hours, at which point they will run from their hole down to the ocean to wet their gills to get more dissolved oxygen in their gills, and then they'll run back up into their hole, which is at a 45-degree angle down into the ground. Medium-sized holes, such as this one right there, are ones that are made from the coquina clam, these tiny little shells here, and that is a little air hole as they pump water back out of their shell. Since they're bivalves, which means they filter their water for food, that creates that tiny little hole. And then tiny little holes, all of these in here, they're really hard to see, are actually just holes made by the ocean and the water leaving the beach. The gas bubbles trapped in the sand kind of are escaping, and they create those tiny little bubbles. So those are just from bubbles, but the other two are from animals. Alright, and you didn't mention this color of sand, obviously, because all of our sand is our white sand beaches along the eastern coast. But this sand is all from quartz and silica, maybe a little bit of feldspar that's washed down and is resisted weathering, but all of this are just our sand particles that are making our beaches that nice white sand color. Alright, black sand. This black sand down in here is actually caused by different minerals, probably amphibole, maybe biotite, in different rocks that have eroded out. And then it's also actually from organic matter, lots of different twigs and logs as they break down the spartina or cordgrass that's in our dunes or salt marsh, all kind of create this black sand. So that's a mixture of inorganic minerals and organic matter. Okay, orange sand. As you can see, this sand is kind of angular. It has a lot of different particles in it. These are all from shell fragments. So if you follow it this way, just a little bit, you can see it gets bigger. And there's the rest of those shells, and if we keep following it up, bam, there's larger shell particles right up there. So with that in mind, keep in mind that everything out on the beach is sorted by 2 factors mainly. It's size and density. So watch how this sand goes from fine to a little bit coarser to even coarser, some larger particles mixing in there. Now it's pretty much entirely larger pieces of shells. And then as we keep following it up, those shells keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You call those shells? Now those are shells. You mentioned that the sand was always changing as you walked along the beach. Here is a side view of our scarp or escarpment. It's a cut that we have running down our beach right now, but you can see all these different layers of shell bits and then sand, larger shell bits, more shell, smaller sand, and all of that's just from different time. I don't know how old each layer might be, but it's just from different depositional environments when the coastline was moving in and out. Alright, so here's a bonus since I don't have a this, that, and the other category this time. This is a horseshoe crab. This is a female. We can tell by that front part of her shell is nice and flat. Unfortunately, she is dead. She's washed up on the beach, but the males and females come up on the beaches to mate, and where the male will come back around here to the back, and he'll actually hook on to the back of the female with his front gloves there, kind of like boxing gloves, and they'll mate. These are called living fossils, and they're pretty cool. They're more closely related to spiders than they are to crabs because they have compound eyes. This was a big mama right here, and it's a shame to see that she's died. This middle part here is where her book gills are, and those kind of help her swim. And if you look closely here, which one is it? This barnacle is actually still alive. You can see it opening and closing there. So they do move slow enough that barnacles and other sea anemones and stuff can grow on them. But we use this creature a lot in medicine. We take the blood, which has it's copper based, whereas ours is iron based, and we take out the blood, about a third from each animal, and then use that to test the sterility of medical supplies. If that blood from the horseshoe crab clots on any of our supplies because of a special compound called LAL, not LOL, LAL, then that needle was not sterile, so it needs to go back through the process. Alright, Zach, some quick comments on your cactus. I know we talked about this a little bit over the phone, but I think you should be okay to do what you're planning on doing by repotting it a little bit lower. Those roots coming out of that leaf are meaning that it's just converting all of those sugars into root production and hopefully production of that new growth, rather than maintaining that first basal leaf that you had when Moss Club first sold those. So go chug right along. I'm glad your cactus is alive. Alright, well I just wanted to let you know that I had a lot of fun making this special edition of A.W.K, W.A.R.D, and that Callie and Zach, I am very jealous of you and your videographers. I obviously had a lot of trouble filming mine with my iPhone, having to hold it out at an angle, and it didn't help that it just cut off what I was saying on the beach, so here I am on the porch. Anyway, for a fun activity, just go ahead and watch this video again and see how many times I changed my shirt. Callie, I have not ignored your challenge. I have all of those video clips on my patriotic response stashed away in a video file, and I just need to upload that hopefully later today. And I also talk about where I got this. Anyway, this is the AshBee signing out for the South Carolina Lowcountry of A.W.K, W.A.R.D.